Okay, so I wouldn't say that this was an amazing week for the Vols, but hey, it was okay. I mean, that's really all I gotta say. But anyway, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Vols Rundown. I am your host, Mike McCamey, and we got a lot to get into today, to say the least. Mostly about basketball, because again, now this is the period of time in football season. Transfer portal is not really as alive as it usually is. There's also the fact that that recruiting also isn't that lively right now because all the big recruits are already committed, and we're just waiting until April for all of them to completely officially commit. So this is kind of a weird area for football, but still got a lot of basketball to talk about. Baseball, I promise I'll start covering it. We're just weeks away from the regular season, and then I will cover that as much as I possibly can. Again, learning on the job for that one. But anyway, let's get into today's episode. Starting out, we'll talk about Tennessee girls basketball. Okay, so we lost to LSU. The final score, I believe, was 89-87. We lost by 2. I was very frustrated with the ending of this game. You can ask anybody that was in the house while I was doing this, but there's no shame in this. We only lost by 2 to a top 10 team. Number 16 could end up climbing after beating us. This is a very good basketball team we're talking about here. I'm not trying to say this to be mean to Angel Reese or anything, because I think she's actually a pretty good player. I mean, I think that she's proved that in the WNBA, at least from what I've heard and what I've watched. Let's just say that this new girl that they have in the paint is potentially a better version of Angel Reese, the more coordinated version, to say the least. But anywho, so here's what made me really upset. I feel like that this game should have very easily gone into overtime. I mean, right at the end of the game, their point guard just puts up some type of circus shot. It's behind her. It's behind her back. She's barely even looking at the rim, and she barely made it. Or she didn't barely make it. It was like a swish, but still, it was so close just to going into overtime. Who knows what would have happened in overtime? That would have been a big deal, but unfortunately, we did not come out of there with W again. But I also got to say this: Kim Caldwell, she is a great head coach. She has that team fighting right now, and I am very excited for the future of the Lady Vols basketball program. She had a really great quote about one of the reporters asked her about how, what do you think this program will look like whenever you get your players in, the players that, you've developed and that you want. And she was just like, these are still my players. They're still coming to fight for me. And even though I didn't recruit them, they're still wanting to play for me. They're my players, that was the approach that they took at it. Anywho, overall, just a very kind of heartbreaking game, but also a reassuring game showing us that Kim Caldwell is the future of this Lady Vols basketball program. And I am so happy that that's happening, because it's been years and years and years of just using all of these, former Lady Vol basketball players and just being like, oh, okay, this one will work. No, this one will work. No, this one will work. We almost did it again and almost went after Duke's head coach, because she used to play for Pat Summitt and she had 2 good seasons. And honestly, it was very good that she declined the offer, because we did offer her. And then Danny White decided, hey, I'm gonna go get Kim Caldwell out of Marshall, who has a very, very good track record and had brought Marshall out of the depths of whatever badness they were in for Marshall girls basketball, and she's doing it with the Lady Vols right now. Okay, she is going to be a very solid head coach, and it reassured me that this team is still going to be all right, because next game we blew out Arkansas 93-63. So let's just say she probably had some choice words for the team, and they had some fire in that game. Let me tell you that. But I know that Arkansas isn't that good, but there are also other teams that aren't really that good that the Vols sometimes get into deep competitive games with. We'll get to that later. But anywho, very happy about girls basketball. Next game is I made a mistake. It says at Arkansas. I think it's at Mississippi State, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's at Mississippi State. And again, another game kind of like the Arkansas game. I don't think they really have a good girls basketball program, but we should be able to go out of there, get a big win, improve our record and just overall look even better as the days go on. But anyway, next thing we got to talk about is Tennessee football. A 3-star offensive tackle, Gabriel Osinda. I think that I'm pronouncing that name right. Again, correct me if I am wrong, because I may be completely wrong on that. But Gabriel Osinda commits to our school. He is 6'7", 340 pounds. That is a massive dude, to say the least. Like, that dude is gigantic. I'm sure that he's been very highly coveted. I mean, just judging by those stats alone, and I'm kind of excited to see what Ellerby does with him. Well, I'm excited to see what he does at Tennessee and hoping that Ellerby doesn't hold him back personally. But, excuse me. But still, I am kind of excited to have this dude. He should be an interesting grab. I mean, I don't really have that much to say about him. I'm assuming that he's very powerful and that he's a power lineman and not really a finesse guy, just judging by 6'7", 340. Like if he was like 6'7", 250, there was one dude that I knew. He's at UT right now. His name is Jesse Perry. And yeah, that dude was very much an agility offensive lineman. Like he was 6'7", and he was huge, and he could very easily run you into the ground. But he was also a good blocker. Like he was mostly really fast off the line and could very easily move his feet. And obviously, I've heard that he's doing pretty good at UT. And, I'll just say this, rooting for him to get one of the starting tackle jobs and, prove a lot of people wrong. But we'll see what happens there. All right, next thing, Tennessee men's basketball. We lost the number 1 ranking this week. I mean, I'm recording this before the rankings even come out, but I can just guarantee you at this point that we definitely do not have the number 1 ranking anymore. I am very confident in that because we got absolutely trounced by Florida, losing 73-43. My gosh, that is the worst game for Vols basketball since the Georgetown game. I know that some people forgot about that during the game, but we never forget the Georgetown game, 37-36. Man, the highest scorer in this game, for context, had 10 points for us. 10. I think that the team, they came in, they were just ice cold from the start. They just were going through a slump. They weren't shooting efficiently, and it was just overall just not good. And here's something that really annoyed me was that they kept on panning over to this stupid kid on the bench that, I don't know why, he just really got on my nerves. Ironically, his name was Micah, and a clip went viral of him in the locker room, whooping a towel on somebody's hand, and they were just like, this is what they did to Tennessee. Just wait until they come to Knoxville. We are going to crush them. Not even because of we had the home court advantage, which is already a big part of it, but we'll be really wanting revenge big time. But again, overall, very, very bad game, very painful game, very boring game to watch, quite frankly. I was recording a Titans Rundown episode throughout a little bit of it, so I was very lucky to not have to watch the entire thing. But, overall, bad game. And it worries me because I think that game got in Lanier's head. I think that he's a little mental right now with his jump shot, at least. Because, we got to talk about the Texas game. This was the game that I was referring to whenever we were talking about, sometimes we don't just bury some teams. I'm not saying Texas is bad, but they aren't, amazing or anything. We should have beat them about as badly as we beat Arkansas just a week ago at this point. We should have beat them like that. But it was a close game. It was a competitive game. I'm still completely fine, obviously. I mean, it's an SEC road win. What more can you ask for? But I don't know. It just kind of put me off that we could have beaten them by a lot more. But one of the main reasons there that we didn't beat them by more was Lanier. I'll talk about him later. But here's the thing, okay? Zakai Ziegler had a really good game. He was distributing the ball well. He was scoring. He was the life on offense in this game. He was playing good defense. Just an overall very solid game from Zakai Ziegler. And quite frankly, I just hope that he doesn't play too. I hope that he just gives it his all this year and leaves no regrets at the end of the year, quite frankly. again, it's very upsetting knowing that he's going to be gone after this year. Like he can't come back. Like I don't know if an NBA team's going to go get him. They'll probably sign him to like a practice squad or at least the G League team. But like, I don't know. I'm really going to miss him. But there were other people. Akpara had a huge game, 3 blocks, 7 rebounds. 9 rebounds. That dude was awesome in this game. And he's quite frankly the reason that we probably won. If even 2 of those shots get up and go in, then this game is in overtime. If all 3 of them get up and go in, we lose this game and we are having a completely different conversation right now. You would probably see my face turning really, really red about this week in Tennessee basketball because like it has been a little bit of a wild ride, quite frankly, from getting whooped by Florida, losing in a heartbreaker against LSU. Then, we whoop Arkansas still in women's basketball, and then we also barely beat Texas, who we probably should have beat by like 10 to 20. By the way, shout out to that one dude whose name I can't remember right now. Oh, man. He was a guard. I think his name was Trey Johnson. That dude could ball. And he was playing very, very good. And quite frankly, he should be considered for a lottery pick, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so we got to talk about Lanier. All right, because like he had an off game this game. SEC road environments in general are really hard to play in, but it was just a little weird, right? Because like you were expecting him to have like this huge bounce back after getting absolutely destroyed by Florida. You felt like that his anger was just going to drive him to absolutely just destroy the next team that he played against. He was going to put up another Arkansas type game. But I think that there's one quote that really describes how this went. This is whenever you know it's important, whenever I have a separate sheet of paper to talk about this. This is from the Rand Carthen fired video, if y'all were curious. But on my other channel, go check out the Titans Rundown. But anywho, here was the quote from Rick Barnes whenever he benched Chaz Lanier right at the end of the game. If you're not going to do what you're getting paid to do, you sit over here because he's getting paid to do that. That's what he told him that first part, and then because he's getting told to do that, that was his commentary on it. But like, again, I think Rick Barnes is right here. It's true. This is what Lanier is getting paid for, and he's not doing it. Like, whenever you're not doing your prime role on the team, then you're going to go sit on the bench if you have at least if you have a coach with brains, but like, or a coach with common sense, more like he had a cold game again. I mean, I'm hoping that he bounces back more than anybody, quite honestly. But like, I don't know, he just did not play a good game of basketball, and it was really upsetting and really frustrating, if I'm being completely honest. And I know that he's going to get better. I know that for a fact. But like, I don't know, it's really frustrating. Sorry that I'm doing this. I forgot to put the next team up on our schedule on my notes, so I'm gonna have to pull this up. Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, so overall, again, I'm not worried about this team. It's really hard to go on the road in the SEC right now and go get big wins. Man, and we still ended up coming out with a win. As long as we can win just like a couple on the road, then we'll have a very solid seat in the tournament. That's really all I gotta say about that. Trying to end on 2 more positive notes. First off, Darlingston Dubar hit some very clutch threes in this game. Like, there was one in the corner whenever we were down by 3. Texas crowd was getting into it, and then boom, Dubar, big 3, silences the crowd. He had something similar to that earlier as well, and just like, I don't know, he was one of the bigger reasons that we ended up winning this basketball game, quite frankly, and very, very happy that he decided to show up in this game. Anyway, next opponent that we play is Georgia. Georgia has been a shocker this year. Like, they have looked pretty solid. I mean, do I think that they are going to end up being like a serious threat to us? And do I even think that they're going to win this game? No, I don't. But we got to take a look at their schedule. Like, they have beaten some pretty good teams. Like, they beat Oklahoma just recently. Y'all probably saw that. They lost to Ole Miss, which, Ole Miss is a pretty good team this year, but they beat Kentucky, who we know is a good basketball team at the very least. Like, they are looking a lot better than I expected them to. Now, again, do I expect us to just, go in and lose to Georgia? No, I'm not expecting it, but I am being prepared for it just because of the fact that, like, the SEC is it's kind of like what SEC football was the past couple of years. Like, it's kind of funny because, like, SEC basketball is starting to become what SEC football was. And I don't know. I just find it funny because, like, there are still people that will try and tell you that the SEC is the dominant conference in college football and that we're so much better than everybody else. Not right now. Like, if we were talking about this 5 years ago, I would 100% agree with you. And even Big Ten fans probably would be annoyed while saying it, but they would tell you that it was true as well. So, again, SEC, not that great, not as good as it used to be in football, but it's starting to become what it was in football and basketball, which is honestly kind of insane to me. Because, like, I would be expecting this team to just be bad. I was just expecting, like, the SEC just to be bad apart from, like, a couple of top tier teams, kind of like what, like, the Big Ten, the ACC, even the Big 12, whatever, Texas and Oklahoma were in there. Like, there are like two or three really, really good teams for us. It would probably be Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, and maybe there's one more in there that you could throw in. Let me take a look at the SEC standings real quick just to make sure that I'm not completely tripping and that I do have somebody else. Ole Miss would also be considered up there, at least for now. We don't know what's going to happen for the rest of this, but that's what we can say for now about that one. But anywho, again, overall, just really excited to watch this Tennessee basketball team. And if they can get a really good record in this conference, they could be fighting for a one seed or I'm not saying that they will get a one seed. I mean, if I had to expect anything, I would expect a 3 seed this year. But, like, if they got a good enough record and didn't crap their pants in the tournament like they did last year, then, or in the SEC tournament, then we will get a really good seed, to say the least. And we could end up getting the A1 seed. I like to point this out every time that I talk about that, though. Like, it's very upsetting, right? Because last year, we could have been a 1 seed in the easiest bracket in the entirety of the tournament, where our biggest challenge would have been like what, Clemson, last year's Alabama team. I'm not trash talking Alabama as a basketball program because Nate Oates has got that program rolling. But, like, last year's Bama team only made it to the Final Four because their bracket was so easy. We would have easily made the Final Four in that bracket. I have no doubt about that in my mind, especially with how Tennessee basketball was playing in the tournament. And I'll be honest, I thought the refs messed us up, quite frankly. Like, I know that's not a popular thing to say, and I don't like to say it. But, like, come on. I think that most people have admitted at this point that Zach Edey got some serious benefit from officiating and bad refs. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's today's episode. I have Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok all under the Vols Rundown if y'all want to go check those out. You're probably coming here from the Titans Rundown, but just so you know, I do have the Vols Rundown if you were curious, or I do have the Titans Rundown if you were curious about that, and you're just now discovering who's this Micah McCamey guy. Anywho, that's going to do it all for me. This has been a rundown of your Tennessee Vols. I love y'all, and go Big Orange.